So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining us. If I cut out or I look a little robotic, I'm going to apologize. My internet is acting up this morning. So, luckily, Jennifer has co-hosts, so presentation should go on with or without me. I will disappear at some point, probably, but just keep trucking. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge that the land we identify as RTO9 is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat peoples. RTO9 will honor and respect the land, the people, and the treaties. We are extremely thankful for the original tour guides of these lands and all that they have shared. All those that reside, work, and play on these lands are treaty people, and we must honor the treaties in a mutually beneficial and equitable manner. With 1 in 5 Indigenous people in Canada living in Ontario, we believe working together in a mutually beneficial manner will help all Ontarians prosper through the joint development of the tourism industry. As an ally to Indigenous people and a partner of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, RTO9 will commit to improving the socioeconomic conditions of Indigenous people through tourism by creating space for Indigenous people to tell their stories on their terms. Now, just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. First, this workshop's being recorded, and it's going to be available for viewing after today's session on the RTO9 website, rto9.ca, and it will come to you in a follow-up email as well. There's going to be a question period at the end, Jennifer. So if you guys have any questions during the presentation, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat. I know Jennifer said she would be monitoring it in case anything comes up. If you want it to be done anonymously, the Q&A box is your way to go, or you can just pop it in the chat window on the side. And then, as I mentioned, you're going to be receiving a follow-up after today's session. It's going to include a recording, but it's also going to include a 2-minute survey link. If you're able to spare some time just to review the workshop, that would be really greatly appreciated. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our lovely facilitator this morning, Jennifer Baker.
Hello, and thank you, Meg, for that introduction. I'm happy to be here talking about one of my favorite topics, email marketing and Mailchimp. So as Meg mentioned, there's 2 ways to communicate with me. I do have both open on my second screen, so feel free to use the webinar chat or the Q&A. I see both of them as I'm talking, so I will address your questions as they come up. If you do have a question that's maybe a little bit outside of the topic at hand, feel free to save it for the end. There is going to be a lot of content today, but I love answering questions. I love getting to the root of what your problems are. So feel free to use that chat as we go through today. So we have around 24 people here. We're expecting around 60, Meg said, so that's wonderful. So a little bit about me. My name is Jennifer Baker. I am the owner of JBC located in Kingston, Ontario. So we are a digital marketing agency. We've been around for about 13 years now. So it's myself and I have a staff of 3. And I love webinars and I love training and I love troubleshooting and I love all your questions. So feel free to ask them as we go throughout today. So before I get started, I want a little bit of an idea of who's in the room. So understanding many of you are tourism related businesses, if you could just pop in the chat what you do, if you're an attraction, if you're an accommodation, if you're hospitality, restaurant, I'd love to get a feel of who's in, I'll say, the room today. And I'm okay, perfect. Thank you. That helps to tailor in some of my examples and some of my wording as I go throughout today's presentation. So thank you, Lisa and Melissa, for jumping in. We've got a marina and a commercial sharing kitchen. We've got agribusiness. We've got flower farms, tet center, promotional company, accommodation. Wonderful. Chamber of Commerce. Shout out to all the chambers of commerce. Natural health clinic. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Continue to put them in. I'm going to read them as we go through. So learning objectives. So that's fancy word for what we're going to talk about today to keep me on track. So we're going to be talking about audiences and audience segmentation as it relates to email marketing and how it's actually going to improve your email marketing. We're also going to talk about audience lists. And the tool I use specifically, and the tool that will be discussed in today's webinar, is Mailchimp. There are many other providers out there, but for today's purposes, it is Mailchimp. And then we're going to talk about segmenting those audiences based on demographics and engagement styles and so on. So there is a lot to know. As I go throughout today's presentation, there will be the slide presentation as we see, and then I will slide over Mailchimp so that you can see it live. So sometimes it's a little bit better for learning and for understanding when you can see me click those buttons. Okay, so audience basics, let's tailor it right back. Number one, who has an email marketing list? So I'm asking lots of questions at the beginning, but so we've got your industry now, and you can just say yes or no, or I don't know what email is, whatever your preference is. Us, yes, yes, no. Okay, so many people do have some sort of email list. Excellent. Building it. You're always building it. You're always going to be building your email list. Okay, great. Not yet. Okay, wonderful. So there's going to be some language that we go through today just to help organize how we talk about email marketing. So number one is your contact. So we're jumping right into it. For those of you who do have an existing email platform, email marketing, you have a list of many contacts. So that might be myself. So Jennifer Baker is a contact on your email list. Now, on the slide, it says among other information. So that could be my name, that could be a birth date, that could be the amount spent at your shop, that could be different tags. So you can collect a lot of information about your contacts, and it doesn't just have to be a name and an email. It can be a variety of other content, and we'll talk about that. And then the audience is that group or that list of contacts that you send to campaigns. So for those of you who do already have email marketing, you have that audience, and an audience is made up of those contacts. Okay, so these contacts. So this is a screenshot from one of my contacts in my email marketing platform. So all of your contacts that you have. So for those of you who've answered yes, it's keeping a list of what those contacts actually do. And you can really deep dive into this. So this specific person, I've taken out their name and anything identifiable, but I can see what they're clicking on, what they're opening, if they've answered surveys, that they've then booked, or I guess the first initial book was my Calendly meeting. And then I can see any of my tags. So tags are identifiable criteria about that contact. So if you haven't done it already, you can actually go and look at all of your contacts and what they're up to. So just kind of tuck that little thought away because we're going to come back to this. So the whole function here, we're going to start to build your audience. So there was a few people in the chat here that they're saying they're working on building their list. They've got a list, or maybe you're just started. And the way I like to start with Mailchimp, and this can go for all other platforms as well, is I look for what's called integrations. And integrations are tools that allow Mailchimp to talk to another software. So popular integrations include QuickBooks. So if you're a QuickBooks user, you can connect Mailchimp to QuickBooks such that once someone becomes a client, they can be added to an email list. Another one is Shopify. So I know many individuals do use Shopify. So if they are a Shopify customer and they click yes, they'll be added to your email marketing list on Mailchimp, and it's all done automatically. So I put kind of my top 4 that I see across my clients and people that I speak with: QuickBooks, Shopify, Lightspeed, and Eventbrite. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag over my screen to give you an idea of all of these integrations. So these integrations make it a lot more seamless And let me just make sure. Can everyone see the new screen? Can I just get a yes? Maybe. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I encourage you before you start with Mailchimp, I want to make sure that your software, your existing tools and software, whatever you use, works with the email provider that you choose. So I use Mailchimp, it works great, but you might find that a different email provider works better with your tools that you already use. So that's my first like asterisk. I love it, but you might have a completely different software setup that works better with a different tool. So use what works best for you. So these are all the integrations. So if anyone has like a tool or a website that they want me to search very quickly as an example or two, feel free to put it in the chat. So you can see here, we can sync all of our contacts, our Shopify contacts over to Mailchimp. You can do it with your WooCommerce as well. There's Squarespace integration, but not all of them will sync contacts. They all do things a little bit differently based on how that integration was built. So Sylviane asked about Wix. So when you're looking for tools that work best for you, so I just keyed in Wix, and very quickly I'm going to try to, so it says customer data. So you can do the abandoned carts, you can do product recommendations, you can do different automation. So this one actually has grown up a lot. It never used to do this much. So that would be a great integration that you can add. Oftentimes there's no cost for these integrations because it's just part of the system. It says free trial available. So I don't know if that's referring to Wix itself or the free trial of Mailchimp. So then you can get an idea of like what it's going to do for you. So in this case, captures leads, you've got all your contacts, you can tag and segment. And you're thinking, Jennifer, I don't know what any of those words mean. I don't know, but we'll get to that. Okay. So we've got Wix. That's the only thing that people use today. Maybe some of you saw our favorite Canva. So this, for example, this Canva, there's not like a contact, for example, but it can bring over designs. So rather than download and upload and back and forth, it can basically look at your existing designs. So there's less of that busy work, I'll say. So before you start with any email marketing, just find something that works best for you. Do a little bit of research. You can have a free account in Mailchimp or whatever you use, and just see if the tools here work well for you. Okay. One last one, finance and accounting. So if you're doing, I don't know, here's any of these, Monday. That's one that I know, but there's lots. Squarespace. All right, let's do one more. Squarespace. It's one word, I think, right? Oh, sorry, I'm under finance and accounting. That's why it's not coming up. So there, it looks like there's two. Oh, they're doing better. This one used to be a little bit clunky, but it looks like it's a lot better. So it looks like you can bring over your e-commerce here, accelerate growth with automation. Yeah, there is. Yeah, this one looks pretty good too. So just do a little bit of like research and make sure it's right for you. Okay. So if you've got that existing platform, so the Squarespace, the Wix, the Shopify, once you give Mailchimp the okay, it's going to bring over all of the contacts. So let's say all 100 contacts are going to be plopped into Mailchimp, and you can only send to them if they've previously subscribed. Okay. So you don't have to worry and say like, oh, did they subscribe? Did they not subscribe? Did they unsubscribe? Those two tools are now talking to each other, and it's going to update. So if I said yes to subscribe, then I'm going to show up in Mailchimp as a subscribed contact. Okay. Okay. So this is just an example. I always put examples in case the internet, like in case I can't get into certain tools. So this is what a Shopify looks like. So when you connect your Shopify, you can sync all your customers. You're going to see all of your e-commerce data. You're going to be able to do product recommendations. You can do abandoned cart notifications. So you can have all of those different tools. But again, find what works best for you. The other thing that it's going to do, and we're not going to talk a ton about the e-commerce component because this is more about lists today, but when you do have that connection between Mailchimp and e-commerce, it's going to show you how many orders you get out of a single email. So I went on when I was developing this webinar to a client of mine, and this was a single email that they sent, one email. And they send an email every week. So they got 88 orders. Average revenue per order was $33 and total revenue was $2,900 for one email. Okay. So I'm going to quiz you because people tend to feel bad about their email lists. How many people do you think we sent this email to? What do you think their subscribers are at if we sent this email? Okay, 400 people, 500, 2,000, 10,000. Whoa, Tracy. That's it. That's all my guess. My guess is okay. So this email was sent to about 1,100 people. Okay. So not bad. Not bad. And they do a number, this business in particular, they're a retailer located in Kingston, and they do, in addition to this, they have Google ads and Facebook, Instagram ads, so meta ads, and every week they send a newsletter. And sometimes it's $2,900 revenue, sometimes it's $500. But in a given month, they're making around $3,500 in sales just through email marketing alone. Okay, so you don't need a huge email list because I know we've probably all seen this on, Instagram and the like, grow your email list to 50,000 contacts and this and that. You don't need a list of 50,000 people to have a successful business. And this business is very successful. Okay. All right. So now getting people to join your email marketing, make it easy for them. So one of the tools that you can do website pop-ups, and a lot of people cringe a little bit. Some of you probably just shuddered a little bit and went, ew, gross. But you can determine when these types of tools appear on your website. So in some cases, when you go to a website for the first time, it pops up instantly and you think, geez, like I haven't even had a chance to look around. But it's all about timing and you can adjust the timing. So it could be immediately, it could be after a minute. It could be upon exit. It could be a certain action that you get to a certain page. So it doesn't have to be that immediate, like, oh, here's the pop-up. So you can determine that cadence of when this appears. You can also have it turned off. So if I visited your website, I'm not going to see this pop up for, the next 30 days, for example. So this is a great tool. You might also say, like, do I have to have an incentive? No, you don't have to have an incentive. A lot of people think that they have to do this, save 10%, get a free coupon to join the newsletter. You do not have to do that. People will join your newsletter if they want to receive your updates. Make sure to also have it on your footer or header or somewhere on your website so that people can join. And then there's, so similar to that previous pop-up, there's the lead magnet. So again, this is something that I see a lot with, I'll say vloggers and whatnot on Instagram and LinkedIn, lead magnets and developing all these tools and systems. Basically, it's giving away something in exchange for your contact information. So that could be trial subscriptions. If you've ever put in your email, to see how a tool works. And after 30 days, you start getting their emails and little things like that. So samples, white papers, e-newsletters, free consultations, coupons, 10% off. If you want to add that as an incentive, you can, but it's certainly not required. So a tool, and this is a great resource, actually, social media examiner. Oh, sorry, I thought the name was on here, but it's not. Social Media Examiner, it's a tool that I use all the time. And this is their version of a lead magnet. So their first name and your email, and then you're on their list. Okay, how's everyone feeling so far? I'm going to just pause for a second. Okay, so for those of you watching the after party here, the group is feeling good. Okay, we've got some thumbs up. People are feeling pretty good. Excellent. Another tool that you can do, and I always say COVID, the best thing that happened with COVID is QR codes. You know, COVID brought back QR codes like nobody's business, but sometimes they're not used in the best way. For those of you who do have a physical space, and it sounds like many of you do, you can use QR codes in and around your space, allowing people to sign up for your newsletter. So this QR code, if you scan it, it's going to go to my landing page to sign up for my newsletter. But where I really like to see QR codes is where people are waiting. So the one business that pops in my mind is the marina. So is there a place where people are waiting to get service? Yes. You can have a QR code so that they can sign up and get maybe an introductory email. Okay. So this is where it's good for people. Not necessarily on a social media post, but in a physical location. For any of you in food service business where you have your customers sitting at a restaurant table, you know those little things that sit on tables and it shows you like the drinks or like a little mini menus. Oh my gosh, I've never worked in a restaurant, but the little things that sit on tables, the tabletops, you could put a QR code in there, you know, scan and get, I don't know, some little perk, 5% off your meal, scan and see what's for dinner next week. I don't know. But it's a place where people can scan to get more information. I'm going to pause for a second because Claire has a question. Is all of this the same for those of us who aren't selling products? I offer experiences which are tough to offer lead magnets for. Yeah. So I'm with you, Claire. I sell services. So Claire, what kind of experiences? I'm going to try and find it while you're writing. If you let me know. Maybe you didn't. Nature therapy. Oh, fun. Yes, yeah, okay. So potentially what you could do, if you wanted to offer a lead magnet, maybe you do nature therapy and, you know, bring two adults, get a child in for free. That could be a lead magnet. It could be a bonus 20 minutes. It could be, you know, a percentage off. So even though it is a service, you can still offer a discount on what you do. If you want, you don't have to offer discounts on everything that you do. So don't, you know, take that the wrong way. But you can certainly offer them something. You could do a white paper, but you could do a guide, you know, get your free e-guide to what forest therapy is. A free self-guided meditation, yes, and then it could link to a YouTube video, yes, because I like nature. I hike. If any of you are creeping me on my Instagram, I hike a lot, but I don't really know what nature therapy is. It is my therapy, but I don't know what nature therapy is. So it might just be a guide to nature therapy. Click to download, and now you've exchanged their email address for your guide to nature therapy. So it's something that you create once, it's timeless, and it just gathers people information. So other ideas to grow your contact list, you do get custom links to your landing pages. You can put it on your email signature. You can add it to any of your invoices. You can encourage people to sign up on social media. If anyone uses Linktree accounts, that could be a separate link on there as well. Okay, so I'm going to pause because we have another one. Okay, so anonymous attendee says, what if you are not using any integrations to acquire emails? We have a lot of business contacts. Are you allowed to add any emails to Mailchimp without asking permission? No. And I say that because that's a blanket response, that if I went into all of my contacts in my email and took all 5,000 of them, and dump them into Mailchimp, I wouldn't know where they came from. There is a difference between implicit and explicit consent, according to the Canada anti-spam legislation. So you could do it on an individual basis. So you would need to know that you've had a conversation. So let's say you go to a lot of networking events. Maybe you collected 15 cards. That card exchange is that a form of consent. But if you don't have that card and you can't track that contact back to that card exchange, then it's more difficult to prove. So I recommend the big dump of email contacts if you can't track where these individuals came from. So having people sign up with the methods provided earlier, they all come with date stamps, how they came through your email program. If it came through an integration, it's a little bit cleaner and safer that way than a giant upload. The other thing that's going to happen, so should you say, hey, I'm not going to listen to Jennifer, it's fine, I'm going to do my own thing. Okay. So what happens is if you take all of your contacts and dump them into Mailchimp, and then you go to send your first email, you're likely going to get a lot of unsubscribes in your first campaign. And if the number of subscribes reaches a certain percentage and within a certain time frame, Mailchimp will flag your account and say that you are spamming people and basically delete all of your contacts so then you can't use them. So yes, you could not use, my advice and just upload them, but then Mailchimp is going to be that next failsafe saying, no, there's too many people unsubscribing. You're doing something weird. We won't stand for this. And they'll basically kind of red flag your account. So good. Thank you. All right, some more basics. Okay, I'm reminding you of the difference between your contact and your audience. So contact is the individual, audience is the group of contacts. So let's talk about these tags and let's talk about segments, because these two words sometimes get a little bit muddied. So tags are labels that allow you to better organize your contacts. So it's literally like putting a sticky note on a file saying Jennifer Baker, social media, or Sam Smith, they do marketing. So it's a tag to identify. And then what you do, you take all of the tags, the similar tags, to create what's called a segment. Okay, so we're going to go through an example. And where a lot of people I find get a little bit confused, they get a little bit, this is a lot of older information I see. I would recommend only one primary audience. Okay, so a lot of people, if they've done email marketing in the past, I would say more than 5 years ago, you had all of these separate lists. List number 1, they came to my restaurant and purchased pasta. List number 2, they came to my restaurant in the winter. List number 3, they came to my restaurant in the spring. So you had all these different lists and they were all, could be duplicate of the same contact. So the recommendation now is to have only one primary audience, and you're going to use tags to separate and segment your contacts. Okay. So how do I add these tags? You think, oh, I already have a list. How do I start adding tags to them? So number one, Mailchimp has a survey function, which I love. And people have to go through my survey before they get on my list. So, well, they get on my list and then they get the initial email that says, help me identify what you're interested in learning more about. And if they click Facebook pages, so these 7 people have, they are now tagged Facebook. If they click on Facebook, Instagram ads, they are now tagged Facebook ads. So number one, you could do a survey. Let me bring this over. So this is all built within Mailchimp. And there's a little survey function down here. You can see my recent surveys. There's different little templates that you can use. So I'm just very quickly going to do a quickie here. What would you like to learn? I'm going to just say, what food do you like? Okay, so anyone in kind of that hospitality. So pasta, and forgive my examples. Okay, pasta, beef, and tofu. Okay, so maybe that's all you want to know, what people are interested in. So you could just leave it at that and people answer your survey, but you actually want to organize all of this information. So see this little button here? It's pretty excited. It kind of glitters around. So you can say auto tagging, and then you can say manage. So if I answered pasta, these are all my tags. I have a lot. I have a problem. So pasta. My project manager is going to be like, why do we have pasta in here now? She does all my emails. And tofu. Okay. So now what happens if you come to my restaurant, you fill out my survey, now you are tagged, Jennifer Baker is tagged pasta. So if you have, let's say you've added a new pasta meal, you're doing a pasta week, you're doing something with pasta, and you want everybody interested in pasta, you could send it just to those people rather than the people interested in tofu or beef. So then we're just going to say save. So this survey is kind of built in to Mailchimp already. So you don't have to use an external tool and then interpret the data. So you don't have to use Google Forms. You don't have to use SurveyMonkey. Okay, so it's going to do it for you. So for those of you with existing contacts, you could send out a simple survey and say, we'd love to get to know you better. Keep it to like 2 questions if you can. The more questions you ask, the less likely they're going to kind of complete that survey. Okay. All right, so I did one example here. So these tags allow us to create very specific lists of our customers. So I did my first example, person in the white tank top, Sarah Smith. She joined the email list in May. They made a purchase and they opted in at checkout. She purchased 2 succulent plants for $50. And then we have our other friend here, Charlie, joined the email list in July, made a purchase, opted in at checkout. He purchased 1 cacti for $30. So by purchasing these products, how could we tag them? What are some tags that we could give to these people? This is a tough one. But let's see. Let's see if you can get it. What do you think? Okay. Emily is on the right path here. Okay. Tracy also very much on the right path. So Emily has said houseplants. I actually didn't think of that, but that is a good one. Tracy got specific and she is saying cacti. And that's exactly what I want you to kind of get to, the very, very specific. So if you run a plant shop, I feel like is there like flowers? Flower farm. Emily. Oh, this is why. Emily, you're the flower farm. And you want to know the types of flowers that people are interested in, you're going to want to get as specific as you possibly can. So let's go to our next one. You could tag them succulents. You could tag them cacti. If you are at a farmer's market and you did a checkout there, you could tag them farmer's market. And this is important because, Emily, maybe you just had a big, I guess a flower farm, maybe you're not growing succulents. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you grow cacti, but maybe you grew a whole bunch of cacti and you want it just to go to your cacti people first. Then you can send it only to, in this case, these 2 people who are cacti. Maybe you have a bunch of succulents you need to get going. Then you're sending them just to the succulents. Okay. And that's what the segments are. These are segments. So if I want to send just to my succulents and I want to send to my cacti, then that creates a custom segment. That's what that is. It's adding my succulents and my cacti into a custom segment. How many people need an example of this? Yes. Let's do an example. Okay. So segments are over on the left-hand side of your screen. They're there whether or not you use tags or not. It's just waiting for you to use. And I'm going to say create segment. And I sometimes refer to this section. So if you're of my vintage or older and you had OAC math and went to an Ontario high school, this is like finite math coming back for you. If you're didn't do OAC math, then I don't know what it's called. Okay, so we're bringing back OAC if then scenarios. This is what I refer to this ad. So this is all the different ways that you can start to send customized emails to your contacts. So we've got automation, email subscriptions, but I just want to do tags at this point. So I want tags is contact, or sorry, contact is tagged, and then I'll just say they have to be in Canada. So that's the first one. And then I'm going to add a qualifier. So add filter. So they have to be in Canada, and maybe they have to be interested in Facebook. So and in Canada and Facebook. If you want to expand the audience, it can be in Canada or Facebook. These are all those decision tree things for you coming back for you. So you can add up to 5 decision criteria in here to make it as specific as you need it to be. So for the sake of today, I'm just going to say review and just call this testing. And then there's 24 people in my segment that match those 2 criteria. So tag Canada and Facebook. So maybe I'm running an in-person Facebook workshop, and that's who I want to address. So that's really the heart of your segments. And you think, why wouldn't I send to everyone, Jennifer? A lot of email providers are starting to add limits on how many email sends that you can do. So if you can be more efficient with who gets your email message, the better it's going to be for your, overall budget. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes. So I think we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Okay, so these tags for your business. So we've talked about succulents and cacti, and you've seen my examples of Facebook. But you have to figure out what makes sense for your business. And oftentimes it has to do with the products you're selling or the services that you offer. What's important? Because the goal of these tags is to be able to write customized emails to your audience who are interested in cacti. So you can say, hey, Jennifer, we just had a new shipment of cacti to our, flower shop. Come purchase them. Okay, so now you can start talking very specifically to them. Okay, so those tags are up to you. There is no right or wrong for what you tag your business. For those of you wondering about limits, I haven't found a limit yet. I'm sure there is one, but I don't think we'll reach it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pause. Oh, will Mailchimp override recording? Okay, so Jen, will Mailchimp override a change in tags when importing changes in a contact status? Example, importing Mailchimp lists monthly from another platform, the membership lapses, and the goal is send a renew membership email. The tags are active, pending, or lapsed. That depends on what you're importing. So sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not. Now, if you're importing a list, so if you've got your existing contact list available in Mailchimp and maybe you're migrating from a different, you can take that Excel sheet and put it in. And Mailchimp has the option to say update existing contacts. And then it's up to you to, check the fields appropriately. So it depends on what you're trying to move over, if that makes sense. Any other questions before we get into our last little section here? All right. Journeys and segments and pre-built journeys. What does this mean? What does this mean? All right, pre-built journeys. So they're automated templates that are already kind of built into Mailchimp for you to use. And I'm sure some of you have already received them if you've ever signed up for an email marketing. So some of the common ones that we see, and I'll slide over my screen in a moment. Welcome new contacts, recover abandoned carts. So I'll show you what a journey looks like because it's a little bit different. So when you get into journeys, they can be very intimidating. They show up like this. And these are providing different actions. So the action is a contact signs up for your email marketing, and then it's what's called triggers, and it sends a welcome email. Okay, so many people, I'm sure you've signed up for something, and then sometimes it's immediately an hour, 2 hours a day, you get that introductory email. So those are all automated. There's not like a little, I'll say like, there's not a student sitting there saying, oh, Jennifer just signed up, I got to wait another hour, send. No, it's all, it's all automated. So another example is abandoned carts. These are kind of creepy. I like them, but they're a little bit creepy. So what happens is if I'm signed into an account for e-commerce and I add stuff to my cart, and some people do this strategically, after a certain amount of time, if I don't make that purchase, I'll get an email that says, hey, Jennifer, you forgot about these things in your cart. Come back. We'll give you 10% off. We'll give you 5% off. So people are using this to their advantage because they know if they just leave things in their cart, they'll get a coupon, which I think is funny. So what this actually looks like when you're creating it. So see this contact abandons cart right there. This is this screen here. I'm pointing at my screen like you can see my screen. This is me pointing. So you can customize all of these starting points. So in my case, this is my e-commerce shop. So it's from my e-commerce. I can choose specific products that if you put it in the cart, so my digital marketing 3-month training, you don't make a purchase after 2 hours. It's going to trigger an email. So you can customize this for specific products. You can exclude specific products. You can customize the time. Because again, based on your industry, everyone's got a different customer profile and how quickly or slowly they make purchase decisions. So Mailchimp gives you that flexibility to truly understand your customer. Does it take 20 minutes to make a purchase decision? Does it take 10 hours to make a purchase decision? Does it take longer than that? So you can change and customize all of those starting points. So then the email side of it looks a little bit like this. So you're creating an email just like you would for a campaign. So it will say to, Sarah Smith from Jennifer Baker Consulting, forgot something in your cart. And then you can schedule when it goes out. So it could be certain times of the day, it could be certain days of the week. And then you customize the email to make it look like any other of your campaigns. And whether or not you include a coupon in there, that's totally up to you. So these customer journeys under pre-built, So I'm just gonna kind of scroll a bit and you can peek. So it could be new contacts with Facebook lead, add customers to an audience after Squarespace. And then you notice there's like these things with LinkedIn and Facebook, there's Zapier, there's Shopify. Just giving you an idea. Look at all of this. These are all automations. Now, if you want to start using these, you definitely have to have the paid Mailchimp program. But if you can automate a lot of this, it's going to save so much of your time. There's SMS now, messaging. I'm just scrolling. There's Eventbrite. There's Reengage. So if people haven't made a purchase with you in a while, you can do automations about that. I'm still scrolling. Yeah. Okay. And all of those, so if I'll just pick one, they all look like this. So you can have an idea of what this journey looks like. And you can customize all of these points, all of these decision points. So you can use this and then you get to customize all of this. Okay. So I really love these automation tools because it's kind of a one and done. A lot of my customers use welcome emails. They use birthday emails. So within a birthday month, sometimes it's within a couple of days of somebody's birthday, they're sending them a card, sometimes with a coupon. But it reduces that, oh, I have to do this right now. It's just going based on the parameters that we put in. So that OAC finite, I love that stuff. So it reduces all of your kind of administrative duties. We are almost on time. And people always ask me about pricing. So I just grabbed a screenshot from what I could see. For about 500 contacts, see that 6,000 emails. So for 500 contacts, you can send up to 6,000 emails. And it's around $27 a month. So I have a list of 1,100 and I pay about $40 a month. So it's well worth it for me. If you have more, obviously the cost is going to be more, but I put it in here because people always ask about pricing. Not much is free anymore. Oftentimes you get a month or two for free, and then, you do have to pay. So I just wanted to include that so you do. All right, where should I start? So some of you did have email marketing, some of you didn't, some of you are growing. Figure out if email marketing is right for your business. So you've probably learned a little bit through this webinar. You've probably learned a lot through, operating your business, but figure out if email marketing is right for your business. It's something I certainly recommend to the majority of the businesses that I work with. And then choose an email platform that works best with your existing tools. And today was about Mailchimp, but there's lots of other programs out there, and maybe one is better suited for you and your business. So find the one that works best for you. Sometimes it also comes down to comfort. Some people look at Mailchimp and they go, ew, I don't like how it looks. I don't like all the things. I don't like, the monkey logo, whatever. Find something that makes you comfortable, because then you're actually going to do it. And then start to consider all of your tags. What do you need to know about your customers? What do you want to know about your customers? And then start creating all of your sign-up forms. And then start thinking about all those pre-built journeys. So meaning, what are the automations that you can build into your email marketing that's going to reduce all of that administrative time for you? And finally, determine a schedule of your content. So we didn't talk about this too much today, but do you want to send out monthly, bi-weekly, weekly? What works best for you? And I have customers who do weekly. I have every other week. I have monthly. And it's the cadence that makes sense for your business and the industry that you're in. Okay. All right. So I don't think I need to recap. I don't think I need to recap, but thank you so much for coming today. If you do have any questions, we have, I think, about 5 minutes or so for any questions related to Mailchimp. And I see that Riley, yes, Meg, it will be sending you a copy of the recording. Thank you, Lisa. And I don't know if Meg's coming back because the internet was pretty, it wasn't real good for her. But she might be coming back. Thank you. Oh, she's back. The internet is still
I'm
good.
here and I'm hoping the internet's working.
Oh, excellent.
I was going to say, I don't see any extra questions, but yes, there's going to be a recording going out. It's going to be sent directly to everyone's inbox from our Mailchimp. And any follow-up questions, obviously you can send them to me and I can get you connected with Jennifer, or Jennifer, if you want your contact information put in the email, I can do that as well and send it out to everybody. But thank you so much for the presentation. If people aren't aware, Jennifer's actually doing another 2 sessions with us. Yes, woohoo! One of them will be on creating content to send out, so actually curating those newsletters or e-blasts, things that you're sending out. And then the third one that she's going to be doing is actually on the e-commerce side. So I saw that there was a few questions about connecting Wix or Shopify, things to people's carts. She's covering all of those for us. So if you weren't already aware, we're going to be seeing Jennifer again 2 more times. So
Lucky you.
best
I
news.
do see one more question though. I see one more question from
Perfect.
the Q&A. So the best way to acquire contacts properly without an existing integration. So I want to say if you go back kind of to my initial, so they can be pop-up forms, they can be the email header footers. You could run social media campaigns to get people to sign up. The lead magnets do work really well. My lead magnet that I do is I run free webinars. I think I have 2. You're also welcome to come to those. So when people register for a webinar, then they're automatically signed up for my list. You can unsubscribe after. So those are just different ways that you could have that integration. So I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. And write down Jennifer's contact information right here in case you need any help with anything. Make sure you make note. We'll send it out. But thank you, Jennifer, so much for the presentation today, and looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you next month.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks away, actually. Honestly, things are going so fast. Where did the summer go? So see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for the presentation. Follow up going out again. There's a survey. Please feel free to let us know how the session went. Helps us build out more content, and it helps Jennifer with her presentation. We share all that with her. So it's all anonymous, but feel free to provide some feedback through that survey. And thanks again, Jennifer. Really
Thank you so
appreciate
much. I'll see everyone next month.
Yes, see everybody again soon. Enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.